Great to have you with us. Now, privatization of education in Ghana is not a remedy to quality education. This is according to ActionAid Ghana, that says the act will rather deprive many girls of education and increase early marriages. The NGO explains parents will be compelled to sacrifice the education of their girl child for boys due to financial constraints. Speaking at a two-day workshop, Advocacy and Campaign Manager Margaret Ward-Brew charged governments to explore other avenues to finance public education.
Ghana's public education system has been bedeviled with many challenges. As a result, it is viewed as one of the poorest as compared to the private education system. The two-day workshop aims at highlighting some of the challenges facing the education sector, particularly in areas of financing. Poor infrastructure and lack of learning and teaching materials were also identified as less motivating for both students and teachers, resulting in high interest in private education. Advocacy and Campaign Manager at ActionAid Ghana, Margaret Brew-Ward, fears the increase in private education in Ghana will affect the country as most girls will drop out of school as a result of lack of funds from parents to patronize private education. She wants government to devise strategies of financing public education.
We are seeing increasing privatization of education in Ghana. And for us at ActionAid, one of our key aims is to ensure quality public education for all children, including girls. When it comes to education financing and where the family resources is limited, the families have the intention or are more inclined towards financing boys as compared to girls. So if we don't take care and we continue to look on whilst privatization continues to reign, there will be a time where education will be privatized entirely, and then girls are going to lose out, because when families can't afford to educate all children, the one they sacrifice is girls' education.
Speaking on the theme, Tax Privatization and the Right to Education, Influencing Education in Ghana, policy analyst and tax coalition coordinator at ISODEC, Bernard Anaba, proposed that government must use a greater portion of the country's tax revenues to finance public education. He's also calling for consistency in financial support for public education.
Currently, what is going internationally is that countries should invest about 20% of their budget in education and about 6% of GDP in financing education. And all of that, about 50% should be allocated to basic school. Over the years, I think our government did well in some of the years, 2011, 2012, thereabout. But by 2015, we have seen a certain decline. So if we really see the education sector as an area that we want to develop and give Ghanaians opportunity, then we must be consistent with how much we allocate.
Country Director at ActionAid Ghana, Sumaila Abdul Rahman, is worried the country loses $1.2 million annually from granting tax incentives. And he says the country must focus on generating funds internally instead of depending on donor countries for education, adding government at least 20% of the national budget must be spent on public education.
We are saying that if you look at the global benchmark set by the Global Partnership for Education, that says that just spend 20% of your national allocation to education. Calculate 20% of $1.2 billion. We give you around $240 million. Can you imagine the amount of school buildings, the number of teachers can employ, teaching learning materials? So this is the whole point we are talking about in this particular workshop.
The workshop is expected to end on Thursday, July 20. Now on your call at Jay's report for Joy News.
Now on Joy News agenda today, we take a trip to Asin Asaman Kasi Ahmadiyya Primary School, where school pupils study in a structure made of aluminium and other dilapidated structures. The school has to close anytime it rains and when there is unbearable heat. Richard Kojonyako traveled to the school in the Asin South District of the Central Region and reports something urgent has to be done about the structure to avert calamity.
I'm fine. What is your name? It's a bright new day. The sun is up.
What is your name?
Pupils of Asena Samankasi Amedia Primary are in the classroom learning, where their learning gives them headaches each time it rains and when the sun shines.
Yes, your uniform guy. Yes. And somebody is sleeping. Good. Who again?
Old aluminium roofing sheets have been put together into a structure to serve as a classroom for these pupils. The other structure that stands adjacent to this aluminium structure is almost falling apart and shows signs of collapsing anytime soon. The school pupils innocently sit in the classroom to receive knowledge. The unpainted structure with its uncemented floors has to be vacated each time it rains and the sun emits unbearable heat. Unfortunately, teachers in the classroom have to make do with this structure fear to speak on camera for fear of being victimized. But the community members are worried about the welfare of their kids.
Nsito wa bladodo wa bla mafo nsito adan po yin wa ba ha man so mafo mo kro wa mo no an wo to ade wo kro wo ni so opon na sa man ko bimum an wo kro wa
when it rains, it worries the children. Teaching and learning has to be halted. The other time when it rained and when I even went there, the water was at my knee level. The children have to cleave to the walls each time it rains. The class 1 classroom hasn't been cemented. Sometimes ants and other insects disturb the children. Apart from the dusty environment, the office has the same problem. We, the sellers, even get afraid when it rains. We are appealing for help for these kids.
Schools say several complaints have been made to educational authorities in the district, but nothing has been done about the structure. For now, each passing day in the life of each school pupil and a teacher in the school who brings up the challenge to continue staying in such a structure has a dire consequence on their very lives. They keep hoping that the structure won't collapse on the kids and themselves one day for a huge calamity to be registered.
The children are obviously excited. They do not know what's happening around them. But this obviously is not good enough for a 21st century Ghana for children to be accommodated in a structure like this.
Richard Kwegenyakun, Asamankasi for Joy News.
Now, the results of 185 candidates who sat for the 2017 West Africa Senior Secondary Certificate Examination has been withheld following the outcome of investigations into suspected cases of exam malpractices. Provisional results released on Wednesday, 19 July show a marginal improvement in grades obtained in English and mathematics. Over 58,000 candidates failed in both English and maths. The director of WAEC, Reverend Samuel Olenu, has been explaining the fate of those caught engaged in various forms of exam malpractices to Joy News editor Martha Aqua-Quentel.
Even though the rate of malpractice has gone down, yeah, of course, it is still there. We had people coming in with mobile phones, and some were caught with written notes on them, you know, and some too were caught exchanging answer booklets. Some invigilators too were caught teaching the candidates, you know, and things like that. So, and of course, we also have the IDP, the item differential profile software, which scans the responses of the objective tests and then highlights those that are cheating. And then we take care of that one too as well.
That's quite strange. I'm wondering, because objectives, if it's A, B, C, D, yes, if the answer is D, everyone must get it right. How do you detect this one? By scanning with this ID?
Yes. I won't let out the cat out of the bag here because once I do that, you know, people will try to circumvent it. So suffice it to say that it is able to detect cheating in the objective tests.
Wow. So those are results that are withheld. What is it at school results, and what are these to?
Them are individual results. Some to our whole school results. Because if in the course of the marking, the examiner detects mass cheating in the school, the examiner is expected to report. And once the examiner raised the query, the school's results will be withheld for investigations. And when we investigate and there is no substance in the reports, we release the results. But if we find something wrong, the appropriate sanctions will be applied.
Okay, I'm sure the sanctions include banning some of these students or schools from writing. Yes,
the school could be we need to write elsewhere and not in his or her own. On their premises, Or we could also let external supervisors and invigilators, handle them instead of their own teachers. So we have a whole range of sanctions that are applied according to the offense. Yeah.
Now, still to come on Joy News today, the story of the first black German TV presenter championing the fight against racism in that country. We'll bring you details as Joy News' reporters toured Germany to investigate the country's refugee crisis. Don't go anywhere, we'll be back shortly.
It's a digital time in Ghana, and MultiTV is giving you the opportunity to learn how to install both satellite and terrestrial set-top boxes. The training is designed for interested participants to fully equip themselves with modern-day installation processes and for them to take advantage of the digital migration. Participants will be taken through assembling of dish, programming of the digibox, cabling, and some safety precaution measures. The cost of training is 100 Ghana cedis, which includes ID cards, certificate, and manual. To pick up a form, call 0302-211-688 or 0244-340-424 and 0244-340-415.
Multi-TV, just thrills.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, family of the 35-year-old police officer Constable Daniel Owusu, who was killed by armed robbers in the line of duty at La Paz recently, is calling on governments to help them cater for the 6 children he left behind. Wife of the officer, Margaret Boahema, made the call at a ceremony to mark 1 week of the death. The ceremony is ongoing at the community policing complex Tesano police station. Maxwell Agbagba was there and he has been interacting with the family.
Emuaya na minimikun ana yajuma bako ono na dimitro moto zuko ajuma o bosi mi ajuma mu ana oba na ajuma ana megata madam me ba wuchao me ba fie ana o se afia twem na ma besiu ana me dem esre me ni mo hwe emperifo nyina twahia depo ho emu aya wate pete anu sa me ku no bi abonu tuo amana wo adonfo abai enuanom bamuchao moja mani jamu wate na maya mabo Valencia mini obi ahene nefa adonfo abai momo amwate na maso mi de mu aya o da menya da menka adabu wa mesra mwate mi jamba ni mi jamba kumwa na mani da so na every say mini obia abusi avuo abai wadaruma umi mo bawanze mini obia abai misrawada wadaruma.
Now, in the saga of the Electoral Commission, the accusers have become the pursued as the Commission's chairperson, Charlotte Osei, readies herself to file a defamation suit against her staff members. In an interesting twist, Mrs. Osei's lawyers yesterday demanded the identity of those who petitioned the president for her removal to enable her to do so. The accusers of Madame Charlotte Osei, the chairperson, now seem to be in hiding as their lawyer Maxwell Opoku-Agyeman has refused to say who they are. Well, this morning, Mrs. Osei's lawyer Samson Ladi Ayenini was at Joy FM's Super Morning Show and he pulled no punches.
Article 146 is very clear and mandating in the way it goes about how to go about this process. And it's so simple. Somehow in the country, all the heads of the independent constitutional bodies, I'm talking about SHRAJ, I'm talking about the EC, I'm talking about NCCE, they have all been given the status of a justice of the Court of Appeal, so to speak. In fact, when it comes to SHRAJ specific, until and unless you have been a lawyer in good standing for 12 years, you are not qualified. You don't meet the first threshold to be considered for appointment. The others, as in EC chair and the NCC chair, right, you don't have to be a lawyer and you don't have to have done 12 years. But the terms and conditions that you're supposed to enjoy, salary, the benefits, everything that a justice of the Court of Appeal is entitled is what you also are entitled. Now, what it means then, as provided by the Constitution, is that if you have to be removed, if you have to be disciplined, then you also go through the same process that will be applied to justices of the Superior Court. And that is why in Article 146, the Constitution says, if you, Inshira, you have seen or come to know about some misbehavior, that's how it calls it, stated misbehavior or misconduct of any of such persons, or you have become aware and you have evidence to show that the person is suffering some infirmity of the mind or the body, i.e. you are so sick you can't continue to do your job, or in your mind you are sick in your mind such that you should not be allowed to continue to prosecute that office.
Interesting issues coming up there with the EC, but let's take you live now back to the NDC news conference, which is currently ongoing, because we still have leadership of the party addressing the media. Let's hear what's going on now.
And then came the immediate past one, who has not even finished his statutory term of office. And what do we see? He has been removed from office and replaced by a partisan person who also is a card-bearing member of the MPP, Natoshi, a failed parliamentary candidate of Tema West, is now the head of the Assembly Common Fund. If you go to the Forestry Commission, since the inception of the Forestry Commission, professional foresters, technical people, have been made to head the institution, such that they will be able to protect our forest devoid of partisanship. So you have in Century, you have others, and the recent past Afari is a professional forester. In fact, when my good friend Sir John was looking for somewhere and he was not getting, they couldn't find any other place than to send a former deputy general secretary of a party, general secretary of a party to go and head an institution like Forestry Commission. The question that I ask is, if an MPP chairman from Webiaja is in the forest, destroying the forest, will the Forestry Commission chief executive have the guts to go and stop them from destroying our forest? So these are critical issues. They are destroying critical state institutions. And the mode of appointment is bizarre. You know what they do? They will just instigate a few workers and say the workers are against their chief executive. It happened in GPHA. And all of a sudden they say, oh, the workers are at loggerheads with you, so we are giving you 3 hours, pack and go. So I'm not surprised what is happening at the Electoral Commission. It is the work of the MPP, it's not the work of the workers. And we will resist it because one of the institutions that we need to protect are constitutional institutions that are not under the whims and caprices of the president. And the Electoral Commission is one of them. So what they are doing in the name of workers, we know it's just a small screen. But I believe that the international community and all those who are interested in the future peace, security, and development of this country will join forces together and resist the oppressors' rule. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Are you happy? Okay, yes. Thank you so much. So that was the vice chairman of the NDC, Samuel Ofoso-Ampofo, accusing the MPP there and the government of instigating the workers of the Electoral Commission against the chairperson, Madam Charlotte Osei. Interesting accusations there. We'll be bringing you all the latest on those stories in our later bulletins. And the Small Arms Commission says it is working on getting alternative livelihoods for local manufacturers of guns. The comment comes after the Interior Ministry revealed that 90% of guns used by armed robbers in Ghana are produced locally. Executive Secretary of the Commission, Jones Apla, said they will also consider using school children in the fight against illicit weapons in the country, as well as getting alternative livelihoods for the manufacturers. He spoke to Joy News' Beatrice Edu after the inauguration of 15 members of the governing board of the commission.
You know, when it comes to weapon proliferation, it's a very, important subject. I mean, most developed societies are still grappling with the issue of weapon proliferation. You know what is happening in America, so, but let me not use that as a justification, though. But as the minister rightly listed or said, we have tried various measures. We have tried amnesty. We have tried engaging the blacksmiths. You asked about the blacksmiths that are producing the weapons, as he said. I believe where we fell short was the issue of the provision of the alternative livelihood, as the minister said, and that is one area that we are going to also look at. With the engagement of the media, that is, it's very critical, so we have to devise strategies to engage them. One of the things that I can easily think of is whether we can engage school children in this fight against small arms. I have been in countries where school children, there's a project or what should I say, an activity where students are urged to ask their parents, do you have a gun? If yes, have you registered it? So there are small things that we need to think through as a board, you know, to, as it were, try and minimize the proliferation. It's not as if to say that the strategies that we used in the past are not, those were strategies, standard strategies that are used everywhere. You understand? I mean, I've spoken a lot. I've said that, look, Ghana, we can't use a strategy like weapon for development because we are not like Sierra Leone. But a strategy like weapon buyback, which we tried in the India and northern parts of Ghana, which really didn't succeed. We've tried amnesty. These are standard strategies that are used. Maybe what we need to do is probably complement it with more probably media and, you know, disseminate the information so people will know that and, you know, erase the fear. You know, the last amnesty that we gave, a lot of people were afraid that it was a ploy to us to arrest them and that kind of thing. So